Hi, and welcome to Spiritual Alchemy Energy, the podcast with Julie. Tonight I have Rescue Medium Melinda Williams, and that's just an understatement of what she does. So, welcome and thank you for being here tonight.
Hi, Julie. It's really an honor to be here. I'm trying to share it out on my page, but here we go again. I don't know what I'm doing, so
That's okay. Take your time. Welcome, viewers. Tonight, Melinda is not just a rescue medium, she's an author of 7 books. She's an actress, a model, a paranormal investigator, and she uses a ton of different spiritual tools. And she has a ton of spiritual gifts that we're going to talk about. So did you get that sent out?
I did.
All
I
right.
finally did.
So, I kind of read over your bio there, and you started doing this when you were a child.
Yes. I was the earliest I remember is between 6 and 7 years old. That was the first time I seen spirit. So yeah, and I've been doing it all my life. Most of it was very quietly because I was raised in Tennessee by a family that told me I had the devil in me because I could see spirits. And so eventually, as I got older, then I started coming more out of the closet about it. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Oh, wow. So outside of like saying you've got the devil, was there somebody that encouraged you to use your
No,
gift? Oh,
no, nobody was in my life that really would look at it as a gift. And so most of my friends, I'll put that way, they were more like the spirits that I would see. And so they were the ones that encouraged me, the spirits, because as my title now is Rescue Medium. And so what I do, and I didn't know back then because I was young, I basically, like Earthbound Spirits, if they become earthbound or trapped here, I help them by counseling them and getting them to go through the light. So that was my friends per se.
since you brought up Rescue Medium, can you share with us one of your experiences in doing that?
Yes, most definitely. So this will tag. Now, do you want me to do something current, or do you want me to do?
Well, what comes to you?
Well, the first thing that come to mind with me is I was helping with a family and law enforcement on a missing child, and what had happened was that the child had went into water and they couldn't find the body, and we knew that they were deceased because it had been so long, actually like 3 days. And then finally, I'd went out, and sometimes law enforcement is open to it, sometimes they are not. So basically, I had family of the people to reach out to me, ask me to come down and just take a look at the area. And so as I got there, the little girl spirit came to me, and I would talk to her, but she would not respond. And so what I learned was she held her hands out like this, and in one hand was an orange, in the other hand was a Native American statue. And I'm like, what does this mean? So I went to the officer and I said, listen, I said, you've got to listen to me. I said, her spirit's here, and they're looking at me like, and I said, she's showing me in one hand an orange, in the other hand, she's showing me a Native American statue. It got his attention. He goes, oh my gosh. He says, here in this lake, he says, it opens up into a huge lake. And he says, but there is a place called Orange Peel. There is a place called Indian Bend. I said, she was stuck in the area of that orange. And I said, but now her body has been moved further down. And I said, she's showing me the Indian statue. I said, she's indicating that she's there. And I said, she's like snagged on something. You're going to have to go a little bit deeper to find her. And so within an hour, they found her.
Oh, wow.
And so, and I told him, I said, those didn't want the family around. And I'm like, I understand that. I said, but when you bring her up, I said, it's going to look like she just fell in. And they're like, there's no way, because she has been there. We've been looking for weeks for her. And I'm like, she's going to look like she just fell in and drowned. When they got her out, there was no bloating. There was nothing. She looked like she had just fell in.
Oh, wow.
So, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, with some of the things that I have dealt with.
What state was that in?
That's in Arizona.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you also do paranormal investigations.
Yes. Yes, I have my own paranormal team. It's called Spirits Unearthed Paranormal. And so basically, with the pandemic, we haven't really got to do a lot. We did do some cases, like we were on StreamYard and we had the client on with us, and she would let us see her home, and I could tell them what I'm seeing, and we had to do it that way. And my lead investigator, he had like the EMF going at his house, but it was really weird the way we were doing it, but that was the only way we could do it. But it worked, and I told her what she needed to do to get rid of what was there, and she done those steps while I was on there with her. And she texts me ever so often, says, Melinda, I am just so thankful. She says, because all the things that was going on here, she said, it was driving me crazy. And I'm like, sometimes that happens. So, but yeah, so I'm into everything, Julie. I'm into everything.
Well, it's great. I love it. I love woo woo.
Right.
Okay. So last week I had another guest on that talked about, do you work with, we were talking about removing attachments, I guess you could say, for an easy word. Do you do that as well?
I do. So basically, the way I bring in my Native American heritage into it, because I was taught before my mom passed away, I was taught how she done it, and she uses techniques that is Native American related. But now if it is something like, and this is very rare, but I have seen it on 1 or 2 occasions, if it's something that is demonic, then I do always want either a medicine person or a priest along beside of me, because I don't know all of the rights. And so, I'm not someone that can do that as far as something demonic. But if it's just like a spirit attachment, and, then usually I can deal with those. And like I had one client, and he kept saying that, he just felt weird. And I said, all right. I said, take me a picture. I need a picture of the front. I need a picture of the back. And he sent them to me, and I see what I call blending. And I said, have you been, and he was a paranormal investigator, and I said, have you been on something where, I said, I'm seeing a lake. I said, and there's something about a female that had passed, and I said, she wears all white, she's got blonde hair. And his eyes, we're talking on the phone, and then we can see each other, and his eyes just get huge. He says, last week, he says, in the area we were at, there was a story about a female, and she fits that description. And I said, that is what's trying to blend with you. And he goes, blend. He says, I've never heard that. I said, well, that's what I call it. So I told him exactly what he needed to do, and that he needed, not to be mean toward the spirit, because I never ever say, you'd never be mean, and you show respect. And I said, and you just, be firm. And I said, and you do this step. And so I give them all these steps they have to do. And I said, it will stop the blending, and she will come apart from you. And then you need to send her on her way by giving her an offering. And so I explained, he's like, an offering. And so I had to go into all of that. And, but yeah, I've dealt with those. And sometimes they can be very hairy, for a lack of a better word.
So, how do you determine whether or not you need to bring in, like, in a demonic situation, and how do you protect yourself?
So basically, anytime I'm going to someone's home, or if I'm going to investigate anywhere, first thing I do, and a lot of people's like they laugh at me, but I start at home and I start with Palo Santos. I use sage. I use crystals. I cast a circle around me and I
Mhm.
envision the white light. I call
Mhm.
upon the archangels. I mean, I do all of this stuff at home. Once I leave and I'll get to my car, I do the exact same thing in my car before I leave. Then once I get to the location, then I get out, I do it again. And then if my team members are there, then we do it as a group.
Mm.
So, and the way it's because it's really hard because the way I see spirit is most of the time they're in like full apparition to me. And other people's like, well, I don't see that, and I'm like,
Mhm.
well, to me, they come to me in full apparitions. And so the way I tell if they're dark, there's certain colors that I see close to them. If they're demonic, then I hear like a certain sound, and that's an indication to me this is possibly demonic. So that's when I'm like, okay, I need someone that professionally does this.
Right. Gotcha. So you also ground in those rituals beforehand
Yes.
as well.
Oh, yes.
Huh.
Very much so.
Okay. Um, can you share a paranormal experience with your team?
Okay, so basically, well, it's weird. One of my team members, she contacted me and she goes, I think there's something going on at my house. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And she's like, no, she says, I really think so. And she's got a young daughter. So I went over there and I was like going around and I'm like, oh my gosh, there was more than one thing. She had some Native Americans that were outside. They were causing no harm. They were there trying to protect the land. Inside, she had two, I'm going to say they were not demonics, but they were very close to being. And they were dark shadow figures. And they were
Mhm.
causing physical to her husband. He had a huge scratch on the back of his
Mm.
back. So I'm like, okay. I said, and she was like, I wonder, if I brought it, or I'm like, no, no. I said, it's attached to this house. And I said, it's been here all along, but it's just now starting to surface. And so, me and her done, oh Lord, all kinds of rituals is what I call it. We done all kinds of rituals. We eventually, it took us like 3 times, and we done it on the full moon because the two things I seen there, they were very connected to her, but also to her daughter. And
Mm.
so we had to do a lot of different things to finally get it out of there. And so now it's been probably about 8 months and everything's perfect there. So
Oh.
but it was just more of it was attacking the husband, and it was bothering her little girl at nighttime. Her little girl was scared because she was seeing things and hearing things. And then when I went over there and I sat down with her daughter, she instantly fell in love with me because if it's a child, I get right down to their level. And I'm like, so you're seeing this. I said, what does it look like to you? I said, is it ugly? Is it? And she starts laughing
Mm.
and she's like, yeah. She says, it's like black and it's got these red eyes. I said, do you see the ugly teeth it's got? And she starts laughing and she says, you see it? And I'm like, I see it. I said, so we're not afraid of that though. We're not afraid of it. And and I had her to go right with me. We went through every room. She done everything with me, and it stopped everything.
Okay, I got a question here. Do you feel it was a ghost or a presence on its own with unresolved issues that were more powerful?
Well, basically, for the first time when I went, I wanted the little girl to feel more at ease, not to be so fearful. So I done it that way. The second time, she was not there. And that's the way I wanted it because then I started the rescue mediumship. And so what I ended up finding out from this entity, I call it an or spirit, was this spirit came from down the road. They had
Mm.
passed away in a home down the road. And the reason he was there was because his children, he never was really close to his children, and the grandchildren he never got to be around. So he was very connected to
Mhm.
this little girl. So that was the issue. That's why he was there. And I asked him, I said, well, why did you attack the father? And he said, because he wanted to be the little girl's father.
Ah,
And so he was very confused, and he was thinking this little girl was either his child or his grandchild. And so I had to help him through that process to realize, no, it's not. And he finally went through the light. And so then it was all done. It was peace there now. So, I go through that process, to just try to figure out why and where did they
right.
come from and that kind of thing. So,
To have an explanation, to reason it.
exactly.
Um, so, I would call, I don't know what, if you would make a differentiation between a ghost and a spirit.
A lot. Yeah, I know. People, they ask me that, and I said, to me, I said, a ghost, and this is just how I see it. A ghost to me is something that, oh, that's a little bit controversial. Okay. So a ghost to me is someone that is, it's something that is there. It's like residual. It can manifest into look like a spirit. It can manifest into like what I usually see as a white mist if it's a ghost. And to me, a ghost is something that has been there, but it's just residual. Where a spirit to me is someone that has been alive, has been on this earth, and they are, having issues one way or another, or they've crossed through the light, but then they've come back to visit their family or whoever or whatever,
Mhm.
or revenge or whatever the deal is. So to me, that is what ghost is to me. I don't like using that term because to me, they're all spirits. And whether it's just a mist or not, it's residual. So I need to help that in some way. And that's
Right,
what I do.
right. It's just anything. I just call it energy anymore.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
it's all energy. It's just
Hmm.
different forms of energy.
Right.
Um, did you did you stay being able to see spirit? Did you start being able to see spirit from childhood to adulthood, or did you need to reawaken and redevelop your abilities?
So Cassidy, basically no, as from the first time I started seeing them, I have always been able to. I know going through what I did, I thought about trying to shut them down because I was raised in Tennessee, and that's the Bible Belt, and so this was very, very much prohibited. But then I just started doing it silently and doing it around when they wasn't around. But I always kept it open, and one of the instances is that I was at school, and I was in the third grade, and one of our classmates was in an accident over the weekend and got killed.
Oh,
And so we're in class, and so the teacher's up there, and she's trying to explain that to us. And I'm like, I raised my hand, and I'm like, no, I said, she's at her desk because to me, because I could see her. And the teacher's like, Melinda, come up here. We got to see what's going on with you. And I'm like, I'm telling you, she's at her desk.
you need
And
counseling, honey.
exactly. That's exactly what I got. And so no, I've always kept it open. And, I worked as a 911 dispatcher. And,
Oh, wow.
so it's all really been a very big thing in my life. And there for a while, I tried to just not let people know because I didn't want to go through the hassle and all of the aggravation of people saying mean things to me. Then finally, I got a mouth. And I tell people what I have to say. If they don't like it, well, they can just go right on. So
Right on, sister.
that's it. I mean, this is the way it is.
I mean, that's what you get from spirit. I mean, they're always talking to you too,
Yeah, it's
right?
like it is what it is. So, and it's been probably about 2 years ago. I there was a place that I went here where I live, and I would go in and do card readings. And I had just come out from doing a session with a lady, and this woman came up to me and she says, "So you're the medium?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "You need to get down on your knees and you need to start repenting." And she says, "You know, you got the devil working in you." And I looked at her. I said, "You know what you need to do?" I said, "You need to go read your Bible." I said, "You don't need to be judging me." And her husband was standing off like behind her. He starts snickering. And I said, "And you know what?" I said, "If you think that I'm the devil," I said, "well, it's like this." I said, I call him the creator. I said, to you, I'm sure you call him Jesus. I said, when he was upon this earth, did he not do miracles? I said, was he not psychic himself? And I said, and if you want to go into the part where it says about not converging with a fortune teller or a psychic, I said, well, I can tell you about that too. Her husband steps in between us and he looked at me, he says, "You tell her, girl, you tell her," to his own wife. And I was like, oh my God. And so then she turned her anger toward him and they left. But and that's just the way I am now. I will stand and defend, because I feel like I tell everybody, the gifts is not me. It comes from the creator. He's the one that gets the credit. I'm just the vessel and I'm here to help. But you're not going to stand and call me no devil or not, because you're going to get it if you do.
Right.
So,
wow. Good for, wow.
oh, yes.
I mean, there is dark magic out there. People do
Yes.
dark things, but you can't lump us all together.
Right. And now that you said that, I got to say this. I've got a coven. I practice witchcraft. I've got a coven. But my coven is of light only. And my mom, that was Native American, she says, "You've got to know witchcraft." Well, me, I'm like, no. I said, people look at that as very bad. She goes, "Okay, I'm going to ask you something." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "What are you going to do when a client comes to you or you're dealing with a case and witchcraft is involved and somebody of dark has put something on an innocent person? What are you going to do? You're not going to know how to deal with it." And I'm like, well, that's a point. So she started teaching me. And she says, if it's a curse, if it's a spell, if it's this, she says, these are the things that you need to know how to deal with it, to reverse it. And I said, well, I wouldn't want to reverse it. And I said, and put it back on the person. I said, because that's harm to me too. And that's the way I see it. And my mom looked at me. She says, "You're so complicated." All right. She says, "We can do it this way." And she says, and what it will do, it will send the curse or the spell or whatever. It will send it out into the universe. And then karma will take care of the person that sent the dark magic or whatever it is to that person. So that's when I started seeing that, witchcraft has been given a very bad name. And so I want to teach people that you can be a witch and still be of light, still be of good. And since I've had this coven, I have already helped 3 people, and they came to me. And as soon as I seen them, I was like, oh boy, I said, "You've got something put on you." And, and they were really in a very bad state and they were losing everything. And I got to what was happening. So I done a reversal, sent it back out into the universe, and everything got better for them. So, that's something I feel is very important, because not all witchcraft is bad.
So curses and spells and dark magic are real.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
as light magic is real.
Exactly, it is. And I find it very sad when I start seeing these dark things that people do to other people. I mean, I'm sure I've got haters, and what I do to them, I'm like, I blow kisses at them and say, "You're going to see me again." And that's just, because I hate all of the tearing between people, and we should all work together. And it's just very sad. So I'm here to just help people as much as I can. And if there is something that is being placed on them or brought into their circle that is dark, I can see that and I can take care of it. So that's what made me open up my coven, to prove that you can also do everything in the light.
Right, right, right.
So,
Okay, so you've dealt with demons.
yes, very much so.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you have divin. I hate saying these. You have tools. You have a lot of tools.
Yes, yes.
Cards. Um, what else? I mean, you use a pendulum. I'm going to show your. You do so much.
Yes, I do. I have over 300 decks of cards.
Oh wow.
Over probably more than that. I just haven't had time to count them. I do use the pendulum. I do these. These are dowsing rods. I do use them more often than the pendulum. And the funny thing is I call these the witches' wands. And everybody
Mm,
loves it because that's what I call them. And so these are for yes and no questions. I mean, I do a lot of things that's connected to Native American, which can be, as you can see, there we go. She's pulling it up. So yes, I do all kinds of things. I even do like big corporate things. Say they're wanting to hold a big party and they want readings and they want this. I do that. I mean, you name it, I do it. And all of this was due to my mom before she passed. She taught
mm.
me so much in the Native American way. So everything I do is incorporated. Native American is incorporated into it.
Oh wow. You just do so much. I'm dizzy from it.
I know sometimes it makes me dizzy, girl. So I know what you're saying. And now you're gonna have to teach me something. How you just shared that. I have
um,
been trying to learn that, and I'm like, how in the world do you do that?
it's 2 steps.
Okay, we can talk about that later, but it's just like, how did she do that? I've been trying to do that forever.
No problem. We'll do it afterwards. Little
Okay,
tutorial.
all right, that sounds good to me.
So from what I understand, the dowsing rods are more accurate than the pendulum.
That's the way I feel. Once I started using them, I was very hesitant because I had really worked with the pendulum, and I'm just like, oh, so I thought, all right, I'm gonna get me some. So I did, and I've got these have got crystals on them. It's amethyst. I got a pair that's got clear quartz on them, and then I got a bigger pair that doesn't have any crystals on them.
Hmm.
And I compared the two and everything, and I love these better than any of it for my yes or no's.
Okay, so do you get yes or no's? Do you use those when, I mean, you may not even have to use those when you do rescue medium. Or,
Sometimes I do, but usually I use these for like spirit when I'm out on a case, because see how these are a lot bigger
uh-huh.
and nearly too big for me, and I'll admit that. But so what I do if I'm on a case or someone's having issues, sometimes a spirit likes to hide. And so when that happens, that's when I bring these out. Yes, my witches wands. Yes, I love these, what I call them. And so I bring these out when a spirit, I feel like I feel a spirit here. I see residual. I know there's one here. So then I bring these out. And then I start using them saying, point to the spirit that is here. And these things tell me, they point right to the area. Then I go to that area and I start setting up different crystals. I set up, you ought to see all the herbs I've got. And I start burning them. I mean, it's just like I got a whole drove of herbs. And
Mm,
so, and I make my own essential oils and I make my own herbs. And so I bring those out and I put them on and I use those for protection too.
mhm.
So, I just use all kinds of things, but it's all centered around Native American.
Oh, wow. Oh, I mean, outside of maybe finding a spirit, do you use those to find a location?
I have done that one or two, probably two times, and basically, it was more of like a family reached out and said they didn't feel like it was at their home. They felt like it was what was happening in their home was being brought from down the street. This is sort of weird. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to understand this. So then I used these and I stood outside and I stood in the middle of the road and I asked, I said, show me which direction that all of this is still, coming from. And my rods took me this away. So that was down the road. So then I went from house to house and I stood in front of each house and I used them and people were looking out their windows.
There's a witch
like,
out there.
yeah, they're like, what is she doing? And I'm like, oh, I said, come out here and I'll explain it. And I said, if not, then leave me alone. And so, I mean, I was just doing, and so it ended up that it was from down the road. And there was a house that was built on top of a cemetery, a very small cemetery. So these come in, to me, I love them more than anything really, as far as giving me answers. And it does help to prove to other people that can't see spirit when I use these. And I'm going to mention it. I do, and this is not on my website yet, but I do have a Ouija board and I do seances. And a lot of people's like, oh my God. And, and then other people's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I've had families and they want me to come and do a seance to bring their loved ones forth. And there again, the Ouija board has been given a bad rap. As a child, you're going to laugh yourself to death. At Christmas during school, how you done the exchange of gifts. Well, I got mine and, it was a Ouija board. And I was like, I don't know what this thing is. So I took it home and I was sitting in there and I was like, how do you do this? And then all of a sudden I started seeing a lot of spirits coming in and I'm like, oh my God. And so, it's according in how, if you know how to operate the Ouija board. Some people disagree with me and that's perfectly fine. But to me, you can block the bad spirits from coming through. It's no different to me than using cards. It's no different because you're opening up a portal, you're opening up the veil, no matter what you're using. So it's according, and see, I have a certain thing that I was taught from my mom to say to make sure when I'm doing the Ouija board that it does not bring in anything dark. But I only use the Ouija board. I have used it on Paranormal Investigations, or if someone calls and says, I've got something going on in my home. And because this one time there was a little girl and she was very scared and she was a spirit. And I brought out the Ouija board. I done the protection to only good things could come through. And she wouldn't move anything. So on my Ouija board, I can flip it over and it's a chalkboard. Wow. So I put a piece of chalk in it and she starts writing. And she gave me her name. Finally, I got her to come forth so I could see her. And I helped her to go through the light. So it's all in how you do it, how you operate it.
Right.
So,
well, I've been playing a game on my phone. And it has letters on it. So It's essentially like playing with a Ouija board.
Oh, okay.
And what I didn't know, and I didn't remember, is that I used to have this toy called Merlin. It looked like a phone, this way back.
Right.
And I was essentially talking to spirits on that phone too.
Oh, wow.
And I just remembered, oh yeah, that's what I used to do. Mm-hmm. So I never really stopped doing it.
And it's all in, it's with anything that you use, cards, witches' wands, it's all in what you say and how you bring in that protection.
Right.
And like when I do seances, it's like families that wants to bring forth someone that has passed away. And when I do those, I do it in a very sacred manner to keep out anything of dark. And so, to me, it's all in how you use things.
Right. Yeah. You have to have protection
Yes,
and your intention in it.
exactly.
Tell us about your gifts. So you've got like this really long resume.
So, when it all started, I didn't understand it. Like I said, I was between 6 and 7, and the first thing I seen was this white thing, and that's what I call it still today. And it had these dark black eyes, and all it would do is make faces at me. Well, then, so I could see it. Then it would start like in the middle of the night. It came to me, and it was like trying to talk, but I couldn't understand what it was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next thing it was doing during the night, it was starting to touch me. And I started smelling like weird smells. And I'm like, well, then like 2 days, no, the very next day, I was very sick, very sick. So I ended up having to be taken to the hospital, and it was a very bad situation. And I did pass away for a short, brief, like 10 minutes.
Oh.
And so when I came back out of that, and I vaguely remember certain things. But that's when I started realizing, that what was there was something really to tell me, trying to warn me by seeing it, hearing it, touching, it's touching me. I felt it. All of the senses started coming in, and it was giving like a real bad odor smell, like, and now I know it was death. It was a death smell that I was smelling from this. And but then, it's vague of what things I remember. But then, when I got older and I was pregnant and I was give birth to my son, I had a lot of complications, and I died after having my son too. And I remember that very vividly. And so it's just, it's happened twice. And the younger part, I remember bits and pieces, but with my son, I remember a lot. I remember everything. But it's, I can hear them. I can see them. I get the smell. The touch. I mean, it's like I can go up and I can touch the spirit. And people's like, my team was with me, and I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm touching the spirit. And they're like, okay. So, it's
Well, this one needed a hug over here.
right, exactly. And I do that because I see them, and I try to comfort. And now, they're used to it, and they're like, oh, that's just Melinda, she's doing her thing. And so, it's just something that's always been there. And then when I found my real mom, she had the same gifts. So it was handed down.
So did you, some of us healers are the wounded healers. And so did you experience abuse as a child or live it? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And
yes.
then on top of it, you had these death experience.
Right. Yes.
So, oh, wow.
Yes. My childhood was not pretty at all. And I was always the one talking to the creator, and I always called him creator, and because I did not know I was Native American as I was growing up. And when I was in school, my teachers would pull me to the side, and they're like, you don't look like these people. You don't act like these people. And I know they're ugly. So no, I don't look like them, and then come to find out, I'm what's called a lost bird. And I found my family in 2010, and found out they're Native American. And my mom, I only got to know her for 6 months, and she passed away of leukemia. I had a twin brother. We were very close. He passed away in 2015 of the same leukemia. And I have had bouts of the leukemia, but every time we've been able to get it back into remission. So, so it's really been crazy.
Oh, wow. Do you think that's something, I mean, we were talking before the show. Do you think that's an energetic thing that's passed through from, having something like that, leukemia so prevalent in a bloodline.
Yeah, I honestly do. I mean, my dad, he hasn't never had it, so, but my mom, my twin brother, and then my older brother.
Mm.
My mom passed. I got to know her for 6 months. Then my older brother passed 6 months after her of the same leukemia. And then 2015, my twin brother passed of it. And so, and now I'm the only one left. I did have a sister, but I did not know her. I didn't get to know her because she got killed in an accident at the age of 16. And of course, I was being raised by the other family,
Right.
so I never got to know her. But me and my
Mm.
twin brother, the weird part is when I found them, I was working at a newspaper and I was a reporter, and I had went out onto the reservation that was close by, and I was doing like it was having the rodeo. So I was out there to do, pictures and all that stuff. And I was out there, and this guy approaches me and he's trying to get me to go out with him. And I'm like, I'm married. So that's a big fat no. And, he kept following me around, and it was hilarious. Well, then the very next day, I go out to the reservation to try to get, them to do marketing with me, did some ads. And so I'm waiting on this lady to come in, and she comes in and she sits down and she's looking at me, and I'm just sitting there just going through, and she goes, shut up. And I'm like, I didn't know what to think. I was like, excuse me? And she goes, you're my daughter. And I'm like, this woman's lost her mind. And she goes, you were born August 6th, 1968. And she says, and you weighed 4 pounds. She says, you've got a birthmark, and I don't believe I'm going to say this, but I am. She says, you've got a birthmark on your butt. And I'm like, oh my God. And she said, you were born at 10:01 p.m. Well, that's what it said on my birth certificate. As far as parents, there was no parents on my birth certificate.
Mm.
So, we go do a blood work, and it comes back, she's 99.99% my mom. So then she takes me out to meet the family. We walk in there. This guy that had been bugging me at the rodeo to go out with him was sitting there. And I go, I'm looking at him, and he's hiding his face. And I go, Mom, I said, who is that? And she goes, that is your twin brother. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, Mom, I said, let me tell you what he done. And so here I go blabbing on him, and he's like, I didn't know. And it was hilarious. It was just so hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
But it's weird how things like that happen.
Okay, we have a couple questions here.
Okay.
Do spirits ever smell like cigarette smoke or cologne or perfume that they wore?
Yes, most definitely. I know I've seen that a lot of times. Like I've went into a residence and I'm like, I am smelling Stetson. I don't know, but I'm smelling Stetson. And then the family was like, well, my dad passed away. He wore Stetson. And so yes, most definitely they do.
Here's one. How do our loved ones feel when we are hurting or going through something hard?
So basically, okay, that's Tyler. So Tyler, basically, now when they're in spirit, we have to remember they know who we are. They feel what we feel, but they don't actually take on like the hurt that we do. They do know we are hurting. So they are there to comfort us. They come and they try to comfort us in every way they can. But, we feel it differently because we're in this plane. They're in another plane, so to speak. And so, they are there. They do come to comfort you when you're really having a difficult time. And you can call up on them and they will be right by your side. But they don't take on the persona of hurting as we do, if that makes sense.
Okay. I just got to throw this out there. I could
Okay.
be I could be your soul sister. I got a birthmark on my left butt cheek. So
oh my gosh. Love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, that's and you're gonna die, Julie. I looked and I said to my mom, I said, well, I said, I guess it's best being on my butt than my nose.
right.
And, I mean,
right here.
Yes, everybody laughed herself to death at me. I'm like, well, I said, it could be worse.
Right. It could be right here.
Exactly. So, you know,
Oh my
oh my gosh.
goodness. Okay. All right. Whew. Oh my gosh. There's another. We got a soul sister here. She's got one on her left cheek too.
Oh my gosh. Well, looky there. See, I got everybody to admit to it.
We aren't showing and telling. We're just
No,
telling.
no, no, no.
We're
Yeah, we're
just
just telling. That's it. Oh my gosh,
that's a
Julie.
different show.
Yeah, that'll be a different show. It's going to be paid per view.
We need big bucks for that.
Oh my gosh. This is hilarious. I knew we was going to have fun on this.
Okay, so we got about 15 minutes left. I think we should
Okay.
take some questions, but I want to go first.
Okay.
So I'm working on this book. It's like driving me like insane. And this is all nonfiction, and it takes place different timelines. Well, all time exists at once. So, but in the human mind, there's different locations.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if I will be able to expose, uncover like physical evidence to support my story.
Okay. The first thing that I'm feeling when you, and even before you said expose, I felt that there is something that, I'm feeling something about a lot of research. You're doing a lot of research. It's going to take a lot of research. But in this research, there's going to be something that's going to come about. I'm seeing something with it's like an image or a photograph or something that is going to prove or validate what you're doing, what you're saying. But it's going to be in a weird place that you find it. But it's going to be during research. And I feel that you're going to have to physically contact someone because you're going to learn of this. And it's going to take you a bit to try to find it, to find the person that has the information, because it is out there. And it's just going to take you a little time to get to that point. And it's going to be very frustrating. And it's going to take a lot of patience.
But I feel that there's like maybe 4 different places that people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, as of right now, I'm feeling 4 different places, and there's evidence that will support my writing.
Yeah, I'm seeing something about, I don't know. It's something like something is under something, and I'm seeing dirt. I'm seeing like, it's almost like buried treasure or a time capsule, or because whatever it is, it's underneath and it's on someone's property. And but it's tied into your linkage, your heritage. It's tied into that. And it's like an opened, what I'm seeing is an open land. It's like, but I see fences. So, and it's there on this property.
Is it in the United States or is it in Europe?
I feel that that was my next thing. I feel like there's something here in the United States in 2 separate areas in the United States. And then I'm seeing the other is not in the United States. So I'm seeing it like somewhere
where the dirt is.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And so it's going to be very frustrating, but there are proof. You're exactly right. They are proof of it. Yes.
Oh wow, that's going to be earth-shattering to the world.
Yes, it will. But you're going to do it, girl. You're going to show them.
Oh God, I already have a headache. Where's this rich boyfriend that like take my cares away so I can just work on this?
I know. I hear you. I'm just like, come on, people.
Okay, we got some comments here.
Okay.
I personally feel our brain hierarchy is more powerful in psychology, that smelling things in space are in remembrance of our psychological experience known in our brain, take us back to prior similar experience in a current moment to teach us what we should be paying attention to in the specific moment. Not all memory is direct. I'm going to have to disagree with that.
And I do too. I mean, because I see the spirits, and a lot of times spirits come to me and say, contact this person, let them know I'm trying to let them know I'm there, because I'm letting them smell my cologne or my perfume. And so yeah, I agree with you. I disagree.
Okay. Cassidy, go for it. Oh, Cassidy wants to know if you could pick up anything for her.
Oh, these little bitty pictures. And as you see, I wear glasses, so that means I don't see well.
Right? It's hard, especially if you have bifocals too.
And I do. I've got bifocals. Yes, I do. Okay. So I do feel, Cassidy, that you are trying to either make a decision, or and everything's coming now. Okay. I'm seeing something about you're contemplating something. I see something about you. For some reason, I'm getting travel, but I'm getting something to do with thinking about moving somewhere, or looking into moving somewhere. But there's something about something's up in the air for you. And so you're waiting for something to actually finalize or come to a close. And then you're wanting to move on from that. And I do see that within the end of next year, I actually do see a move for you. So that's what I got from that little bitty picture. So that I can barely see, but you know, that's the first thing that I was seeing by just looking at the picture.
So you read pictures too?
Yes.
I just started doing this.
Yes, I do pictures, I do objects, and like I said, I do that with law enforcement, and I'm in a huge case right now, and the FBI is involved, and it's just been one crazy thing after another. But yeah, I do the pictures, I do really everything.
Wow. Okay. Oh, Cassidy just replied that all just happened. Love. I read from pictures too.
Oh, well.
So this is a rebuttal from our.
Okay. Here we go.
My comment was about smelling a memory. Either the spirit of them is present or it is not. And that smelling is telling you to remember the spirit of the person you smell. And in that, you remember their wisdom. Maybe their essence.
Yeah, and I do feel that, when we do smell something that reminds us of someone, it's them also letting you know that they're there, and they are trying, as she said, wisdom. They are there trying to guide you, to push you into a certain direction. But of course, free will comes in, and so they can't force you. So, yeah, so it goes on and on and on. So
and then they'll reappear and you'll smell them again.
Yep, that's it. Yes.
Cassidy's asking if you're doing the Summers Wells case. And
no, I am not. I'm doing one here in Arizona. So I've been so wrapped up into this one, I'm not even aware of that one. So no, I'm working on one here in Arizona currently.
Oh, wow. Research, huh?
Now, okay. Now, wait a minute. I don't know anything. I don't know about this, but I'm getting that's a child, blonde-headed. I'm seeing blonde hair. She's a child. She's been missing, and I'm feeling something. Someone's not telling the truth with family inside the family. There's something they are 5-year-old missing in East Tennessee. Oh my God. So what I'm seeing is, there's someone in the family that knows more than what they're telling. And I believe, I'm seeing something to do with water, Cassidy, something to do with water. And, but it's almost like she's either in something, or something is holding her under, and it's going to be very, very hard to find her. So, So Cassidy, if you want to reach out to me, and like I said, I've been wrapped up in this case I'm working on here in Arizona on an elderly person. So I really don't watch TV because it makes me too sad. And then you get information if you're watching the TV about stuff. So and I don't do that. So Cassie, if you want to reach out to me, and I'll try to help you in any way I can with that. If you would like for me to tell you what I see, because I feel if we as mediums, as psychics work together, we get a bigger, broader picture of everything.
Right. She said, yes, exactly, Mom. And I am positive. And yes, in my read, she was in water in a container.
Yes, I'm getting the same thing. So Cassidy, reach out to me and we can, like I said, I feel if more of us work together on cases or whatever, we'll get a broader picture and be able to solve things more quicker.
Kayla's asking, what about the grandfather?
I feel that I'm seeing something that actually caused the death was a female. I feel that other family members are aware, so it's not that they had something directly physically in it, but they are aware of what happened, so they are like helping out to cover it up.
Wow, this is creepy.
So yes, Cassidy, reach out to me, girl. I'll help you in any way I can.
Oh, wow. Does anyone else have a question for Melinda before we wrap? Cassidy's said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, girl. I'll be waiting to hear from you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll ask another question.
All right. Let's go for it, girl.
How much more research do I have in a percentage to do?
Okay. What the first thing I'm seeing I see the month of November. So by November, I do feel you're going to have a bigger, wider collection. You're going to know a lot more information than you currently have got. And then in the beginning of next year, I'm actually seeing you putting in this all together. You're going to figure out where you're needing to go, where some of the clues may lay. I feel you're going to come in contact with people that's going to be able to help you, to guide you into these certain different areas or places that you're going to have to go to try to get the answers that you're seeking. But so I'm seeing by the end of next year, everything will be fully done. So you got a whole year left, girl, a whole year. So
this is wearing me out. Let me tell you. So do you get any names? I have some names.
Okay.
Do you have any names?
First thing that pops in my head is the word Henry. For some reason, I'm hearing the word James, Sarah.
I
don't know why the word Mikey, but I'm hearing Mikey or Mike. Elizabeth.
These are names I don't have.
Well, maybe they're names that that's going to connect you to what you're trying to do.
There's
something with the name Carl.
How does Napoleon tie into this?
That's something to do with like something in the past life. Yeah, and it's there's a linkage between you and people that are alive today. But it's linkage to back then, and these are the people that is a direct descendant, and they have these papers or these images and stuff that's going to prove the things you're saying.
Is it Patrick?
I got the name Rick, but and sometimes you get bits and pieces of stuff. So,
Ah,
but I do feel someone you know right now, but they don't realize they have this some of the information.
in their possession.
Right. Hmm.
Oh.
And I do feel the names I was getting, I feel these are people that's going to come later in your research as you're going through.
Names that I'll get from the past. These are names from the past that
Right.
I will get in my research.
Exactly.
Are these black slaves?
I feel some of them are. The James, I've seen him as a black person.
And
Let me see. And Sarah, I'm feeling like Sarah is maybe half black, half white.
were did were these the two black slaves that attended a funeral in my research?
Was the funeral like at a home? Because I'm seeing like a gathering at a home.
It was a very small funeral in the past.
Okay, because what I'm seeing is something about it. It was like a home. What I'm seeing is like a one room thing, and I'm seeing like it's like real back and some a long time ago, but it's a small room, and there's people that's just coming through and looking down at a body. So I don't know. That's just.
Was it Thomas Paine? Did they go to Sarah and James go to Thomas Paine's funeral?
Do you know if they called him Tommy?
Probably.
Because I'm hearing Tommy, or yeah, Tommy. But that's all that I am getting with it. So
yeah, these are and okay. I gotta find out who these people are. I was a slave. I was a black slave in another lifetime. I was also Thomas Paine.
Oh Lord, now that is confusion.
So not only like I inhabited different bodies in the same time period.
Oh my gosh.
And so this James character is another lifetime and that lifetime and this lifetime.
Okay. Also, do you look at the names I gave you? Because I thought some are from that's going to be forthcoming. Some are from different past lives you've had, but they are connected to this in some way. It's all one big circle.
I can't add any more damn characters. This thing's gonna have to be volume.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, do it in numerous books. This is the first book. This is the second book. There you go.
Okay. I thank you. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for this information too.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was an honor being here. I knew we were going to have fun on this.
Stay tuned. We'll do a tutorial after. So
exactly.
I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, listening afterwards. Check out Melinda at her website, melindaenchanted.wixsite.com/website. Please check her out. Cassidy, get a hold of her. And also check out my websites, zenbuzzies.com and julianne-guthrie-smolson.com. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.